Yes, Kenya. Tamu sana, tamu sana, tamu sana, yes. A lot is happening behind the scenes. New details are emerging that there are disparate attempts to bring together Ruto, Raila, and Uhuru Kenyatta to a negotiating table. In our next video, we'll dwell into that story. In this video right now, I want us to understand what happened yesterday that led to Matiangi's freedom. Because from the look of things, it was emerging very clearly that William Ruto's government had an intention of detaining Fred Matiang'i. We are getting new details as to why Matiang'i was set free. Before we dig deep into that, if you are watching us but you have not yet subscribe, give this video a like. Taifa Leo captured a very interesting story today. Uhuru alivyonasua Matiang'i. Duru zasema DCI walihofia kuzuka kwa fujo endapo Uhuru angeungana na Raila. Upelelezi. Maafisa wa idara ya upelelezi wa jinai DCI walimwachilia huru aliyekuwa waziri wa usalama wa ndani Fred Matiang'i baada ya rais mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta kutishia kwenda mwenyewe kumtoa. Imebainika. If you go through that story by Taifa Leo, yesterday upon the DCI blocking Raila Odinga from accessing DCI offices, Uhuru Kenyatta was a very angry man and he wanted to fly all the way from Mombasa to the DCI headquarters to personally make sure Matiang'i was set free. So because of that may be kind of an incident or such events, DCI feared that there could have erupted some chaos, and that informed why they released Fred Matiang'i. Let's dig deep. Yes, I'm very sure had it not been for Raila's intervention and Uhuru Kenyatta's intervention behind the scenes, Matiang'i could have been detained yesterday. Matiang'i arrived yesterday. He arrived at DCI headquarters around 8 a.m. in the morning. He was there by 8 a.m. in the morning. We are being told that the interrogation only took 15 minutes. They only asked him some questions, and all that took about 15 minutes. Why were they keeping Matiang'i all the way from 8 to almost 5 p.m. in the evening? It's clear there were plans to detain Matiang'i. So they were testing waters to see if they could actually execute that plan. So when Raila Odinga personally went there, I think that also caused them some panic. And I'm saying that because already, when the public saw Raila's presence there, or rather noticed that Raila was there, the crowd started swelling around the headquarters, around DCI headquarters. And as time was going by, the crowd was even growing big and bigger. I honestly believe that Raila's presence there yesterday and Uhuru Kenyatta's maneuvers behind the scenes clearly scared William Ruto. And that convinces me that William Ruto is actually serving at the mercy of Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. In fact, Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta are giving William Ruto ample time to deliver to Kenyans, but it's coming out very clearly that William Ruto is very clueless on governance. We are seeing Ruto and his team just playing politics, reminding Kenyans every now and then on how Uhuru Kenyatta failed. If Ruto and his team believes that they were elected by the people, then it's only commonsensical that Kenyans elected him and rejected Raila Odinga because they failed. So Ruto should not be telling Kenyans again on how Uhuru and Raila failed. That's the reason why Kenyans elected him if at all he won the election. So I'm seeing a William Ruto who is coming out as having no clue at all on how to run a government. And it's also coming out very clearly that this is a very unstable government, a government that is suffering some form of paranoia. Any person they see as a strong leader, they see that person as a threat. Matiangi was a very senior government official in Uhuru Kenyatta's government. William Ruto see him as a threat. And why we are seeing all these intimidations against Matiangi. Because I'm very sure that if William Ruto and his team had a case against Matiangi, with what they're doing, they could have arrested Matiangi a long time ago and presented him in court. Ruto knows for a fact they have no case against Matiangi, a case that can withstand trial, or rather a case that can actually, they can take to court. They know they don't have such a case. So they're just trying to intimidate and to persecute Fred Matiang'i. And above all, it's coming out very clearly that Uhuru and Raila are actually in talks. And most definitely any move, political move, Raila and Azimio are doing, I'm seeing Uhuru's hand also there. You know, politics is all about numbers. Uhuru Kenyatta should not be underestimated. This is somebody who served for 10 years as the president. Uhuru Kenyatta still has got his allies in government. And in the event of maybe chaos erupting, I'm very sure that even William Ruto is not even very certain of what can be the end games or the end results of those chaos. Simply because the government is very unstable, Kenyans are suffering on the ground, just as spark can ignite serious revolution. I'm very sure some Kenyans are just waiting for a signal for them to take to the streets. And the reason is simple. William Ruto is stepping on each and every person's toe. Look at what he's doing in our universities. School fee is being increased from 16 to 52,000. How will poor students access higher education? Besides that, help loans are being removed. How will these poor parents be able to take their children to school? Besides that, Kazi Mtani has been done away with. Subsidies on basic commodities have been removed. Corrupt individuals, their cases being dropped for them to serve in government. All these are things just angering and annoying Kenyans. And a good majority are just waiting for an opportune moment to show William Ruto that this country is not his. Yes. Yeah, dunia si ya mtu. William Ruto is just the president, and it does not mean that he's now very clever, or rather cleverer than all other Kenyans. That's something that William Ruto should look into. That's something he should look into. And in some few hours ago, in our video where we explained the Sri Lankan revolution, in Sri Lanka, a good majority of Sri Lankans actually traveled to the capital city. They were moving from the villages to the capital city, and that forced the then president to flee. If William Ruto continues the way things are going, 1 million Kenyans, should 1 million Kenyans just converge in the capital city, William Ruto will have no option but to quit. Because just as it was in Sri Lanka, initially when the protest started, the government used the army and the police to attack the protesters, but that did not discourage the protesters. As the government was unleashing terror on them, more and more of Sri Lankans were actually turning out for the protests. I'm seeing a very high possibility. Where should William Ruto's government continue persecuting Kenyans? If Ruto cannot address the high cost of living, Kenyans will say enough is enough, and they might all converge in the city. William Ruto by now be forced to flee. Because again, in Sri Lanka, it reached a point where even the police, the army, could now not take orders. Because how could they kill millions of Sri Lankans? The same thing might happen in Kenya. William Ruto's government has to tread with a lot of caution. Let me stop it there. If you want to support our forum, I've pinned my number on the comment section. Contact me through the number or feel free to channel your support to the number. Let's meet in our next analysis.